Hello friends, my name is Jess. Welcome to Books Past Bedtime. Today we are going to be starting another reading vlog. This is the second video in the series that me, Mare over at Mare Reads, and Kirsten over at Kirsten's Corner are doing on our channels where we read each other's favorite books. So in this video I will be reading Kirsten's favorites and I am so excited to jump in. I'm going to be reading 3 books for this vlog, 3 of Kirsten's all-time favorites, and I am so excited. So the first book I will be reading is 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. This is an adult contemporary, almost maybe kind of like a chick lit type of book. I hesitate calling anything chick lit, but I think that's kind of like the best category to describe this one. But it basically follows these 9 strangers who all decide to go to this health resort together, and while this health resort sounds great on paper, there's something a little darker going on behind the scenes. Our 9 strangers during their stay have to figure out what sinister thing is going on and if they need to get out of there. So I'm not totally sure about this one. I think it sounds kind of interesting, but at the same time it doesn't sound like something I would pick up on my own. It's not been on my radar or anything, so I'm a little bit apprehensive about this one, but I am excited to give it a try because Kirsten just absolutely loves it. The next book I'm going to be reading is Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet by Jamie Ford, and this is a story that kind of takes place in dual timelines. So we're following Henry, our main character, in the present and in the past. So in the present, he is older, his wife has recently died, and he is kind of trying to reconnect with his son. His son is getting married and he's getting to know his future daughter-in-law, and also kind of explain to his son why their relationship is the way it is and why he acted the way he did as a father, basically. And then we are also getting flashbacks from when Henry was a child living in Seattle during World War II, and he kind of is directly affected by the Japanese internment. 1, because he himself is Chinese and his family is Chinese, and 2, because he has this really close Japanese friend at school, and she and her family actually get taken away to one of these camps, and it just details the effect this had on Henry. This sounds like it's going to be a really moving and touching story. I don't read a lot of historical fiction, although I used to, so I am really excited to jump into this one, and I have a feeling I'm really gonna like it. And then last but not least, I will be reading A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is a YA sort of thriller following this girl named Pip as she tries to reinvestigate this girl's murder. This girl was about 5 years older than Pip and died a number of years ago. Her boyfriend was blamed for this crime at the time, but Pip doesn't believe this boyfriend actually was the one that murdered her, and she believes that this girl's murderer might still be out there, so she really wants to find out who actually did it, clear the boyfriend's name, and get to the bottom of it. This one sounds really good. I'm kind of apprehensive though because Mare didn't like it, although Kirsten loves it, so I'm not really sure where I'm gonna fall. I can't really predict it. I'm excited about this one though. It's kind of got some mixed media stuff going on. I don't know if you can see that, like interview transcripts and maps and things, and I usually love books like that, so I'm really excited to get to this one, and I hope that I really like it because I don't know, it seems fun. And so let's get reading. Here's what I thought of the first book. So I have started my first book for this reading vlog. I have started 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. I'm about 50% of the way through this audiobook and really enjoying it. So just as a quick refresher, this is a book following 9 perfect strangers who end up at this health resort. Some of them are there to lose weight, some of them are there for marriage counseling or family counseling. Some of them are health resort junkies that are there for a reset, and this health resort is kind of sketchy. The reviews online, some of them are 5 stars, some of them are 1 star, saying the owner of this health resort is crazy. She is rumored to do anything that it takes to help the people at her resort. I'm not sure what that means. It kind of gives me the vibe that this is going to turn into a thriller of some kind. There's going to be murder or something. I don't really know, but so far it's not a thriller, and I kind of think that this is just listed as journal fiction, but either way, I'm really enjoying it so far. There is something about it that just makes it compulsively readable. We are following almost, I think, all of the different characters that are here at this health resort. One of the main ones we're following is, her name is Frances, and she is like a middle-aged author. She just got caught up in like a romance scam. She wants to lose a little bit of weight. She's having bad back pain. Her career is kind of going off the rails, so that's why she decided to check into this health resort. There is this couple, Ben and Jessica, who won the lottery, but now Ben is more obsessed with his car than with Jessica. There is Lars, who is a health resort junkie and goes to them all the time, and there's also this family that is there, these parents and this daughter, and their son and the daughter's twin brother actually committed suicide, and they are there on the 3rd anniversary of his death, trying to come together as a family and fix some of their other issues. So I think the following all the different characters and seeing how they interact is super interesting. This definitely isn't a book that I would pick up for myself, so I'm glad that this reading challenge is encouraging me to pick it up because I really am enjoying it. I think it's super interesting. As I said, it's like compulsively readable. I just want to know what's going on, what's happening. I think because there is kind of this ominous tone where it's like, are they going to die? Like, is somebody going to get killed? What are these extremes that the owner is willing to go to help her clients? This one is super interesting. I'm having a really fun time reading it. This thundered, man. I just really hope that the rain is not too loud. But yeah, so that's how I'm feeling about this book right now. I feel like I don't have a ton of thoughts, but I am really enjoying it and I'm looking forward to continue. I will keep you updated. All right, I finished 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty, and honestly, I really enjoyed this book a lot more than I thought I was going to. I think that I'm going to give this book like 4 stars. It really kept me guessing until the very end and kept me engaged till the very end. It was more unexpected and like twisty turny than I thought it would be. I really don't read stuff like this very often. I guess this would be classified as like women's fiction maybe. It wasn't romance, it wasn't like a thriller, but it was so interesting. And the director of this health resort is just crazy. At the end when she's like makes them think they're gonna burn alive in her health resort because she thinks it'll make them reach enlightenment or some shit. It's like, what the hell? It is so bizarre, but it is so funny. It's just so good. And I think of our 9 Perfect Strangers, I think Zoe was really my favorite character. She is a young girl whose brother committed suicide, and I think 3 years prior to her family being in this health facility, her and her family really benefit from this experience and come together, and I just really liked seeing that. And Zoe was just like the most relatable to me, but I thought her storyline was super interesting and how much guilt she carried over her brother's suicide, and I just thought she was funny. But I think what's funny about this book too is that like everybody went into the health resort looking to be changed, and even though it was like a complete and utter disaster and like a whack job was running it, they all like became better versions of themselves afterwards, so it kind of like did its job. I don't know, I just really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would, and I am going to give it 4 stars. I can see why people like Leanne Moriarty so much. I might have to pick up some of her other stuff now, but yeah, I don't have much else to say. I have now started Hotel on the Corner of Sweet and Bitter. What is the title of this book? I have now started Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet by Jamie Ford, and this story is kind of taking me by surprise as well. I used to read a lot more historical fiction when I was younger, but I don't really pick it up that much now. I am really enjoying this one so far. I don't know if I'm just in the mood for stories like this right now, like slow character-based stories with nothing like fantastical going on or whatever, but I am really enjoying this one. I am listening to the audiobook. I like the audiobook, and just as a refresher, this is about this guy named Henry he lived during World War II. In his elementary school, he had a Japanese friend named Keiko. Henry himself is Chinese. I think they live in Seattle. She and her family were taken away to the Japanese internment camps, and he never heard from her again. But then in the 80s, flash forward, there is this old hotel that is purchased and they find stuff in the basement. On the news program announcing this, Henry sees this parasol that he thinks belonged to Keiko, so he goes to this hotel and is looking through the basement to see if any of her family's other stuff was there. And it's really just him reliving the story of his childhood with Keiko. In the current time period, he and his son are reconciling and coming back together after the death of his wife and his mother. Honestly, I really liked both storylines. I probably liked the one in the 40s more, but I do really like the storyline in the 80s of Henry being an old man and repairing his relationship with his son. It is definitely really sweet. I really like Henry as a character. When he was a kid, he was very much like a silent rebel. He definitely was going against his father's wishes. His father was very much a Chinese nationalist and did not like the Japanese, and so just the fact that Henry has this friend who is Japanese would make his father super angry. He and Keiko just have this bond. She's really his best friend, and where we are at in the story right now, she has kind of just been taken away to the internment camps. He really fought to help them as much as he could, but he just was like 12 at the time and couldn't stop what was happening. He offered to take Keiko, but they wanted their family to stay together. I really am enjoying it. I think it's really well done so far. It definitely is a little bit slow. It's not something that I'm like dying to pick back up and keep reading, but overall I am really enjoying it and I am excited to see how it finishes up. I only have like 16 hours left to read this before it's due back to the library, so I'm going to try my best to finish the audiobook tomorrow or tonight. But yeah, I will update you once I'm finished. So I finished Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet, and I don't know how I feel about it. So basically, everything I said in the last clip kind of still stands. Unlike Mare, I never felt like this really picked up for me. It was very one note the whole book, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but in this case it made it feel kind of slow and boring. I really just like was expecting something amazing to happen at the end. While the ending is definitely satisfying and like what I wanted, and I especially liked the scenes with Marty's friend Stanley, it kind of just felt flat for me. I really did think it was interesting exploring the history of the Japanese internment camps. I really liked how that history was personified in these two characters, and I thought that was really powerful and well done. But at the same time, the story just didn't give me everything that I wanted. I didn't like cry. I didn't really have any intense emotional reaction to it, and that's what I really want in like a hard-hitting historical fiction, is I really want to have like some kind of deep emotional reaction where I'm like crying. I don't know, I just like wanted something more, I think. Definitely the best part of this story is Henry and his character. I really liked seeing his character in the past as well as how he has grown and changed in the future. I really liked the future bits with his son too. I thought they were honestly some of the most powerful moments of the story, just in the way he was different than his father, and while he did struggle with his relationship with his son, he really turned that around. I really liked seeing that, and his acceptance of his new daughter-in-law. I liked all of that stuff. I thought that was really good. It was kind of depressing that he was still in love with his childhood girlfriend while throughout the whole time he was married to his wife. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but overall I think this book fell a little flat for me. I wanted some more out of it, so I'm going to give it 3 stars because I did definitely enjoy aspects of it, but overall it just was not quite the book for me. I'm sorry if you can hear my fan, but I don't feel like turning it off, But I just wanted to hop on here really quick because I'm 25% of the way through A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I'm like obsessed with this book so far. I was not expecting to like it, especially because when Mare read it, she kind of tore it to pieces. But I am actually really liking it. I wanted to document it here instead of at the 50% mark, just in case like something happens and I start hating it or whatever. But right now, really enjoying it. I'm currently listening to the audiobook, which is full cast and like full production, like sound effects, which makes it kind of feel like a cinematic experience, which is my favorite thing in the world. I love audiobooks that are full cast and like full production value. Obsessed. So good. My only like little gripe is that Jackson lacks a little bit of nuance and subtlety in some of the scenes. For example, there's this one scene where this journalist is just straight up like, oh, he did it because he's Indian. And I'm sure there are people that are racist like that, but I think the more common issue nowadays is microaggressions and like being racist off the cuff, not like directly racist. I feel weird saying that, but it was just a very strange scene. I was just like, oh wow, so he's like racist, like aggressive racist. And I kind of don't like that just because I think it minimizes the effects of microaggressions. I think when people think of racist, they think of people like that. And I'm just rambling about things. It doesn't really matter. But then there's this other scene where this lady in the supermarket is like, I am not going to touch you because your brother killed somebody allegedly. And it's just like very visceral, exact reactions. And it's like, I just think that those scenes would be more impactful if they were a little bit more subtle, because with them being so directly discriminatory, it just felt a little bit ridiculous and knocked me out of the story a bit. I would have appreciated a little bit more nuance and subtlety. I think it would have been more effective, but that's just my personal opinion. I don't know. That's honestly just like a small gripe. There's only been those 2 little scenes that I was just like, okay. Other than that, like, I'm really liking this a lot. I really like the way it's written. I like the characters so far. I really love like all the interviews and like multimedia-ness of the book. I love stuff like that. So really enjoying this. Can't wait to keep reading, and hopefully I keep loving it. Okay, I know I said I was gonna update you at 50%, but I am now 65% of the way through this, and I like am still obsessed with this. I think it's getting even better. I am just like fully invested in this story. And I also realized in the last clip that I forgot to kind of like update you on what this is about. So we're basically following our main character Pip, and Pip has this school project that she has to do. It's called a senior capstone. It's almost like a thesis that you do for a master's program kind of project, but she's a senior in high school, so it's a little bit different for her project. But she really wants to reinvestigate this murder and disappearance of this girl who went missing in her town a couple years ago. She doesn't believe that the person who got blamed for the murder is the person who actually committed the murder, and she thinks that this girl's murderer might still be out there at large. So she she is going around investigating, digging up stuff, trying to figure out if the police investigated it correctly or if Sal was just the easiest scapegoat to blame everything on. She really wants to clear his name though, because she doesn't believe that he actually did it, and she wants to actually find out who did it. But so far I'm just like obsessed. So Pip is kind of almost like a Hermione type character, I would describe her. She is very smart, very into school, like obsessed with her homework, and so naturally she is obsessed with this senior capstone project, and she is really invested in it and really wants to get to the bottom of it. And I just really admire her like determination and drive. It makes me want to go out and investigate a crime, which like sounds crazy, but you know what I mean? Like it's just like so cool what she's digging up. I feel like I'm listening to a podcast too with the audiobook, just in the way that it's put together and the interviews and everything. It's just really well done and really, really engaging. And it just is really cool like how Holly Jackson is weaving everything together and like dropping little breadcrumbs throughout. I have no idea who the killer is. Pip has this pretty extensive list of people who could be implicated in the crime in some way. I definitely think it might end up being like multiple people are involved, but I really like can't guess what the next twist is gonna be, which is I love. It's so great. I like discovering what's going on along with Pip. I think Holly Jackson has done a very, very good job of like organizing the story in a way that makes it fun for the reader. I think the only thing that would let me down at this point was if the ending kind of sucks. I'm worried because I know that there's a second book. I'm worried that we're not gonna like find out everything and like who actually did it and stuff, and if that happens I'm gonna be a little bit upset. But right now I think I would give this book 5 stars. Like I really love it a lot. I'm really enjoying it, and I just can't wait to finish it and see what happens. I probably will just like breeze through it today, and I will let you know when I am finished and if my thoughts have changed at all. I have finished A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and let me tell you, I freaking loved this book. I'm so glad I saved it for last because it was by far my favorite out of all of these books. Oh my gosh, I ate this one up. It was insane. It's been a really long time since I've read a book that has kept me this engaged and is what I would call a page turner. Like I just wanted to keep reading the whole entire time to see what was happening next. It was so gripping, so engaging. I loved Pip and Ravi and all of the other characters. I did kind of guess who the killers were before it was revealed to us, but not in a way that was like obvious. It was kind of like wild guesses. Like I was like, these 2 people seem kind of sketchy. I mean, obviously everybody on Pip's suspect list seems sketchy, but they just gave me a bad feeling, both of them. And I even guessed the one that was kind of more out of the blue. Yeah, it was still really interesting though, like how Holly Jackson did it all, and there were some definitely twists that I didn't guess. Just the way that she wrote this book was so interesting. I loved like the mixed media style with all the interviews and things. I just felt like I was solving the murder right along with Pip and trying to make deductions and figure out how everything connected. It was so good. The audio was definitely amazing too. I would for sure recommend that. Full cast, full production. Felt like I was watching a movie or listening to a podcast. And it also was just amazing like how rich of a story Holly Jackson was able to create. Sometimes in YA I feel like something in the novel falls to the wayside, like either the character doesn't have developed parents, like their parents are absent, or their friendships are weak with other characters, side characters aren't developed very well, or the plot suffers. Something usually suffers, I feel like, in a YA novel, but this one had it all. It was so well-rounded. Everything like felt fully developed and fully pictured, which I really loved and I really appreciated. So like Pip's parents are there all the time. They act like regular parents. They're funny, they're supportive, they're loving, they're caring. Pip also has this great group of friends. They're in a lot of scenes. She talks to them a lot. They're very present in the story. They all have their own personalities. Some of the boys I couldn't really tell apart, but Pip and her girlfriends I definitely could, and I just appreciate those friendships in here too. I just really thought Holly Jackson did a great job of not only creating a very elaborate, convincing mystery, but also making the world fully developed. I really loved that about this book, I think is what made it such a unique experience. And I can't help but give this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I immediately ordered the second one last night, and I can't wait to get to it. So that concludes my vlog of reading Kirsten's favorite books. This was such a fun experiment, and overall I think it went pretty well. So just as a quick rundown, first book I finished for this reading vlog was 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. I gave this one 4 stars. I liked this one a whole lot more than I originally thought I might. It was such a good, interesting contemporary fiction story with kind of some mystery elements thrown in. I really liked this one, really enjoyed it, and now I'm going to have to check out more of Leanne Moriarty's stuff. The next book I finished was Hotel on the Corner of Sweet and Bitter by Jamie Ford. This one I gave 3 stars. I didn't love this one. It was a little little bit slow, and I just felt like the ending wasn't that great of a payoff. I didn't come to care for the characters as much as I wanted to. I didn't cry or get emotional in any way, which is usually what I'm looking for when I'm reading a historical fiction like this. So it just didn't like hit right for me personally, but it definitely was a beautiful story and I got a lot out of it. It was definitely worth the read, but not one of my new favorites. Obviously, the final book I read and my favorite of this reading vlog was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This one got 5 stars. Such a great thriller mystery, and I loved this one so much. This one might just be going on my favorite shelf. So from this video, I think I learned that me and Kirsten definitely share some common interests. While every book wasn't a perfect 10, I definitely think she has some good recommendations and can get a better idea now of when she's recommending a book, how much I might enjoy it. I just really loved getting more of an insight into her reading and what she likes. This was just so much fun. I loved reading all of these books, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Definitely make sure to go check out Kirsten's video and Mary's video. I will leave them linked down in the description. You can definitely also find any other relevant links down there in the description. Thank you again so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!